It's hard to believe that this little area right here is enough to take down even the toughest guys in the gym when it gets injured. Today I'm going to talk to you about why it happens and more importantly what you can do to make sure it doesn't. What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. Elbow pain when you're lifting. It's one of the most debilitating injuries you can face if you're in the gym. And why? Because it's actually one of the most long-standing issues once you have it. Anybody that's trained for any length of time has probably had elbow pain at some point that's kept you out of the gym and maybe kept you out for a long time or made you alter the exercises that you're doing. There's two types of pain though that we're going to get in our elbow. It's going to be either on the inside of the elbow here, or it's going to be on the outside of the elbow right here, okay? That's the difference between tennis elbow and what we call golfer's elbow. Tennis elbow, again, being on the outside here, and golfer's elbow being on the inside. But guess what, guys? This isn't the problem. The elbow has nothing to do with it. This elbow problem is a wrist problem, or it could be a strength problem somewhere else. Compensation is what causes the elbow to take the brunt of your weakness or your immobility. So what I want to do today is show you what's actually causing it, whether it be golfer's elbow or tennis elbow, and more importantly, what you can do to fix it, and then how you can get back in the gym if you've been hung up or laid up for a while with it. So let's take a look at this. Right now, guys, we've got a look at our forearm. If you want to identify these 2 points, what you have to do is just take your arm here, take your fingers, kind of like in an L shape here, and just put it right over the top, right in the crook of your elbow. When you reach around and grab where your thumb goes here, this is the medial epicondyle. That's going to be where your forearm flexors attach. All these muscles here that flex your forearm. If your one's on the outside here with your fingers, that's the lateral epicondyle. Those are going to be your extensors in your forearm that do this. Those all attach out here. We have two things that go wrong. Whether it be in medial or lateral, the problem is either you are overusing the muscles in a weakened state, or you have an inability to control the eccentric contraction of that muscle. So let's take a look first at the medial elbow. Alright, so let's take a look at that inside elbow. And again, I think it's the most common source of pain. Guys will get the inside elbow pain because they're not strong enough when they're doing their pulling exercises. This is a pulling exercise flaw. If you take this band and we try to simulate what's going on with our muscle, it basically is going to take, they're going to start from the wrist here. They take all the common flexors inside the fingers, they all come together, and then they attach right here up on the inside of the elbow. So when we pull up on here, it actually pulls the wrist up. Now, when you're doing an exercise like the chin up, as I'm demonstrating here, you can see that as I'm pulling myself to the bar, what do? What do most people do when they're trying to cheat the chin up? They curl their forearms. They use their forearm flexors because they're afraid that they either don't have the strength in their back or their biceps to get them up to the bar, so they use the help of the forearms. The problem is, then on the way down, after they've curled their forearms in, as they come down, they let that just kind of flop back into a straightened position. So you're getting this eccentric overload that is way too much for your forearm flexors to handle. You're talking about the whole weight of your body being attacked with an eccentric chin up. That's not enough. It's really tough to have the adequate strength to handle that unless you're working on your forearms directly, or you do what I tell you in a little bit here to fix this. Same thing on a row. If you look here back at the skeleton, if I row and I'm trying to pull the row, the weight in here like a seated row, again, as I get here, how do we feel as if we get that bar a little bit closer? How do we get that handle a little bit closer to our belly, like we're finishing out the movement? We do it by just curling the wrist in, using the forearms to flex it in. It pulls it without actually having to get our elbow any further past our body. It's sort of an illusion. We want to feel as if it's getting to our chest, but we know we can't get it there with the strength of our rhomboids and back alone, so we cheat it and we pull with the forearm. And again, what happens when we come out? We usually straighten the arm, and again, it's an eccentric overload here on the middle of the elbow. So two examples there, again, on pulling exercises where the weakness usually of the muscles that you're training causes you to compensate and use the muscles that probably shouldn't be doing the work. Yeah, they're there to assist, but they shouldn't be trying to do all the work. And I'm going to tell you again what you should do to fix it. Matter of fact, let's talk about it right now. Okay, so if you want to try to get rid of that medial elbow pain, the first thing you're going to want to do is start to stretch that out a little bit. It's probably sore, it's probably inflamed. You're probably going to have to take some time away from the gym to let that calm down, all right? But you're going to want to stretch that out by straightening the elbow and then extending the wrist, right? Because it crosses, you're talking about a two-joint muscle here. So you straighten the elbow, you extend the wrist back, stretch it out, hold it, do that a few times each day, ice it if you need to. When it starts to feel like you're capable of getting back in the gym, the key thing here, guys, is neutral wrist position. I don't care if you have to drop the weights that you're using. Watch again as I do this chin up. Instead of letting myself go into the cheat version of this by pulling my wrist down towards me and activating my forearm flexors, let's keep a neutral grip. Better yet, if I even had a bar that I could do a neutral grip on, where I could keep my hands facing each other, and again, not bending back or not bending forward, that would be a great option, especially as you're getting back into the game. So drop the weights a little bit, reinforce the neutral wrist, which is here, again, not bent this way at all, and also not bent backwards, and keep that for all of your movements that you're doing your pulling movements for in your workout, and you should start to see that this will get better and better and better over time, and you'll start to be able to overcome that. Long term, you're going to want to start including forearm work to make sure that your forearms are adequately strong to handle these stresses if you encounter them again, but you should be getting better at being able to control the wrist flexion. Alright, so let's talk about the outside of the elbow now. We have the exact opposite situation. Again, the muscles cross through the wrist, and then they come out to the outside elbow on the top part, up in here. Okay? And when you get that pull of the muscle, you're going to cause an extension back here of the wrist, like that. Now, where I see the problems here is not necessarily, although it does happen with the eccentric overload here too, but where I see the problem is, it's from this chronic extended hand position that that we were in when we're in the gym. If we're grabbing dumbbells, as you can see here, you can see that the muscles are chronically in this contracted, shortened state on the back of our forearms. The overuse comes here. This is where some people will break down even at a computer desk because they're constantly in this position with their wrist bent backwards and these muscles constantly on the go. You're going to want to make sure that your muscles are prepared for that. You do that with a lot of high rep extension training when you're doing your forearm work. But if you're not equipped for that and you go into the gym and you try to do that, especially if you're trying to prevent a weight from falling away from you, right? If you're doing some kind of a high pull, right, and you're pulling up this way, your wrists are bent back, if the weight's going to fall away from you, you really want to make sure that it doesn't happen. Your forearms are really going to be working hard. That could be where the eccentric portion comes in, the overload. But more importantly, we see that with tennis players. Again, they're in this extended wrist position as they get ready to hit, and what happens after they hit and they release, the wrist just naturally follows through, and that eccentric pull on the back of the forearm here is a lot of times enough to cause a micro tear in these muscles that causes the inflammation. So the point is, even here in the gym, if you're going to be going to grip things, you try to grip with a more neutral grip. If you're going to pick up those dumbbells, try to do it like I'm showing you here with a more neutral position of the wrist. It's not that natural because naturally our wrists go into a little bit of extension because it's a stronger position for us, a stronger grip. But if you're dealing with an inflamed position, you either aren't going to do anything at all or you're going to make this slight modification to help you come back and get over the issues that you're having. So for the time being, you'll want to try to be sure that you're gripping with a neutral grip. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully Raymond and myself were able to not only help you to identify what might be causing the source of your elbow pain, but help you to make sure that it doesn't keep you on the shelf for all that long. You got to remember, you got to start stretching it out, whether it be the backside or the underside. You got to apply some ice to control the inflammation in the early stages, but when you get ready to get back into the gym, you got to start making these modifications. Doesn't have to be long term, but right now it has to be taken care of until you can adequately build up the strength and endurance in your forearm muscles with more direct forearm work. In fact, we have a complete forearm workout here that I posted quite a while ago, but it still definitely applies. You can check that out on our channel as well. If you guys found this helpful, make sure you leave a thumbs up and a comment of what else you'd like to see. And if you want to put the science back in strength, guys, and start training without worrying about getting injured, without worrying about missing time in the gym because the workout you're doing leaves you beyond the point of even being able to function, that's a bad thing, right? Then you got to head over to ATHLEAN-X.com. As a physical therapist, I created a program that I feel not only helps you get bigger, stronger, faster, but keeps you healthy during the process. So head over to ATHLEAN-X.com right now. In the meantime, guys, I will see you back here in just a couple days.